It's Doris with Aldi Books, and I am here to do a couple of book reviews. Wow. I don't normally do book reviews. You probably have noticed that. But when I did my last book haul and mentioned that I gotten this book, a lot of you mentioned that you were hesitant to read it. Yeah, and you are all completely justified in that hesitation. But I thought that I would go ahead and talk about my thoughts about the book a little more in depth than I normally would, so that you can decide if you're still on the fence whether you think it's a book for you or not. So, and I'm having a hard time talking about this book, so I'm just gonna plow through, and if I say anything awkward, I apologize. I don't mean to. It's just, it's an awkward topic. Yes, so the premise of this book is a 14-year-old girl named Turtle who is being raised by a kind of a survivalist father. He's got definite ideas about the way people are living in the world today as far as nature and politics goes, and he's very much consumed with guns and stocking up the pantry, you know, 3 years of food and for Armageddon, I guess. Yeah, they're very in tune with nature, especially the girl, and their relationship is something else. So let's just get right into that. First chapter, right out of the gate, there's incest with a father and daughter, and it's written in a very elegant and voyeuristic way, which makes it incredibly disturbing. Now, later on in the book, he writes the instances of rape in a more typical violent manner, but the first one is more disturbing just because of the way it's written. And then that brings into account the relationship between the father and daughter, which is very complicated. I believe they don't really come out and say it, but they allude to it later on in the book that it's been going on for years and years. So her love of her father and her feelings about him are very much entwined with the sex act, and it's extremely complicated. She's a complex character. He is a complex character. I mean, some of the things that he says are spot on now and again, but then he has this, he's just consumed by this girl. He's raising her as a single father. The mother passed away when she was young, and he just has, their relationship is way too close, and he can't stand any outside influences. So the grandfather is in the picture, and she does go to middle school, but the dad walks her to the bus every morning, even though she's 14. And she is very closed off from society herself, so she doesn't really interact much at school. So very isolated, even though, you know, they're not living in the boonies off the grid, but they're very isolated based on their personalities. Yeah. So there's that. And let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to say about the problematic issues. Now, yeah, the next thing I wanted to talk about was the brilliance of the writing. This book is freakishly brilliant. Now, if you are not the type of person that, you know, loves to hike, and when you're out hiking, you just want to reach out and touch the sunlight dancing on the flowers and name every one, then you might find this book tedious. So if you are not in tune with nature, this book is not going to speak to you as, you know, as well as it could. So I just want to get that out there, just something to think about. This book is very, very nature-based, and if you don't make that connection with nature, you're not going to get a lot of what's going on in the book. So let me segue into her personality. I read a review online that was complaining that the book is written in third person and you're very distanced from the character, especially considering the content. You know, you would think you would want that emotional connection. No, this book is designed the way it is for a reason. Like I said, this girl turtle is very, very socially isolated. She's very self-contained. She doesn't share her thoughts with anyone, really, including you, the reader. But if you are reading into the details of just the little tiny bits of nature, you know, the mice and the spiders and the salamanders and just all the little bits that are interspersed along the way, oh my goodness, I just keep thinking about this book over and over again. I'll remember a little nature scene, just, you know, a couple of paragraphs, and it'll hit me what she was saying. So Gabriel Talent communicates the girl's thoughts and feelings through the nature scenes that he depicts in the story. They are so packed with symbolism. It is unreal. Truly, he's brilliant. It's really brilliant. But you have to have that nature connection to get it, you know. I mean, if you were a computer geek and it was, you know, written about computer geek stuff, you know, I wouldn't get it. But you have to, this is for a particular audience, I guess is what I'm saying. And not only nature, but just all the details, like the girl is constantly methodically cleaning her guns and knives, and that's part of her personality, part of what the story is saying. The food she eats speaks volumes, and you don't really get that. Some things you think are, well, that's just kind of weird, and then you get to the end and you're like, whoa. I mean, I just can't get over how brilliantly it's written. It's not for everyone by any stretch of the imagination, but the writing is, in my opinion, truly brilliant. Anything else? There's a lot of violence at the end too. So yeah, the dad. I thought the author did a really good job of kind of shedding light on that personality, like, you know, a random concert shooter and what would make him break like that. Just someone that people wouldn't realize that there was anything wrong, and then suddenly, bam. And the other thing he sheds light on is how many people suspected there was something wrong throughout the course of the year that the story's written and didn't act on it. It's kind of sad, but it's kind of, I don't know if it's true or not. You know, the girl is so distanced from people, but yeah, I just thought it was a brilliant book. It's a hard read, but I was impressed, and like I said, I'm still thinking about it now. And then the other book, just on a lighter note, another book that's immersed in nature, The Sound of a Wild Snail Eating by Elizabeth Toba Bailey. I also finished this a couple days ago, and this is just absolutely delightful and perfect for anyone. So it is indeed talking about just a little terrestrial snail, but it's so much more than that, and it's not info dumpy sciencey at all. So what the author does, she got a virus that has made her chronically ill. It keeps recurring, and she has months and years where she's basically laying horizontal 24/7. It's that bad. And so the book opens during one of those really bad phases for her, and a friend brings her a potted wild violet and this little snail. So the first section is the snail living on the violet, and then the next section is the woman has a friend create a beautiful terrarium for the snail to live in. And those sections are, you know, just her observing the snail and the slow pace of her life and how it relates to the snail, and just relating her illness and her life with the snail's life and with humanity in general. Her observations are just very insightful and interesting. So then the middle sections are about, you know, the little bits and parts of the snail and the little interactions that he has with the world around him. And then the end is where she releases him back into nature, and she is once again able to get about a little more. She's starting to heal again. And it's just it's a tiny little book, so tiny. And if you get a chance to read it, it's just really, really calming. It's a great follow-up to that traumatic book. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, and I will chat with you soon. Bye.